Let's take apart Kramer's statement here a little bit more, because he does say something interesting. There's value in Disney, and someone is going to bring out the value. Full stop. Someone is going to bring out the value. So Jim Cramer has gone from Bob Iger is awesome, he knows what he's doing, he's a great CEO, to now, well, somebody eventually is going to bring out the value. Apparently, somebody not named Bob Iger. Renegade Online. Jim Cramer on the Walt Disney Company. I'm sticking with it. God dang it, I love Jim Cramer. You've got these diehards, and we've made some wisecracks about Jim Cramer over time, and y'all know basically from so much historical data, it's like, yeah, you know, if you watch Jim Cramer and then do the other thing, you'll win. Not all the time. This isn't financial advice, but it is a joke in my industry, right? 20 plus years in the financial planning world. It is kind of a joke. You just do the opposite of whatever Jim Cramer says, and it'll work out for you. So here we go. I think this should be the clip here. We'll talk about this.
It's time for Yahoo Finance's Market Minute. Cigna shares sliding here after its earnings result.
Why are they giving me a market?
Net sales growth and earnings.
All right, that was supposed to be, okay. Well, we'll just do this. Let's just read the quote. How about that? There was a video. I think Yahoo Finance moved it. So the Walt Disney Company is one of the stocks that Jim Cramer recently talked about. And again, Jim Cramer's, been a long time television personality. I'm not going to call him a financial expert. I think that's kind of insulting to financial experts, but he's a longtime television personality on CNBC. And he's definitely got one of the biggest audiences of any of the financial television shows. So God bless him for that. Pardon me. But Jim Cramer has been holding on to Disney now for quite a while. And Jim Cramer is, in terms of Bob Iger as a CEO, and in terms of Disney stock, Jim Cramer is one of the biggest Wall Street apologists for the failures of this company you will ever meet. And it's hilariously bad to me. The Walt Disney Company is one of the stocks Jim Cramer recently talked about. A caller asked whether they should sell their stagnant shares of Disney and invest in something else. In response, Jim Cramer told the caller on his show the following. No. I said the same thing to Jeff Marks, says Jim Cramer. Jeff runs the charitable trust with me. And this is a portfolio that Marks and Jim Cramer run together. And I was fed up. I just said, how long? How long? But the fact is, there is value in Disney, according to Kramer, and someone is going to bring out the value. And when that happens, I gotta be in Disney. I can't just say, you know what, I'm bored with the stock of the Walt Disney Company. There's value, I'm sticking with it. Bro, this is the biggest, most Wall Street cope I've ever seen. We're not talking about an equity here that has had its issues for a short period of time, right? It hasn't been 6 months in the hole. It hasn't been a year or 2 years or 3 years. Dude, this stock we just showed you a little while ago, even following a $70 billion acquisition of a major Hollywood rival, Fox, in 2018 and 2019, that Disney has added literally zero market cap. And Jim Cramer is still sitting in the cuck chair, Bob Iger's cuck chair. Read a little bit into his statement here to this caller. Again, the caller asks Jim Cramer, hey, Jim, You've been high on Disney's horse now for a very long time. Do you think it's finally time just to let it go and go find something else? And the "and go find something else" part is important because there is a concept in economics and finance, and you've heard me talk about this before, although it's been a bit of time, called economic opportunity cost. Meaning, how much did I lose by doing this instead of doing that, right? And of course, economic opportunity cost is a concept that is oftentimes only truly realized in hindsight, but that is the nature of it. But at some point, you know, it's like this is like battered woman syndrome with Jim Cramer. I mean, how many times are you going to get black eyes and still sit there and say, no, he won't do it again? I hate to make such a crass and crude comparison, but it's one that I think most people out there understand exactly what I'm saying to illustrate the point, right? So you have a caller asking, I have two black eyes again, Jim. And I'm looking over here and, you know, hey, NVIDIA is down 10% right now, maybe. And there's some other things on sale because the market retreated a little bit this week. Maybe I should go look for a new opportunity. And Kramer's like, no, I'm sticking with Disney. This guy, Jim Cramer, I swear to God, when it comes to Disney, this guy is more stubborn than a bucket of mule shit. It's the only way I can think to describe it. Pardon my French, but I think it's a good description. You know, let's take apart Kramer's statement here a little bit more, because he does say something interesting that I think maybe he didn't intend for it to come across this way. And I'm curious if people in the chat picked up on it, if you know what I'm about to say. No, I said the same thing to Jeff Marks. You know, Jeff runs the charitable trust with me, and I, Jim Cramer, was fed up. I just said, how long? But the fact is, there's value in Disney, and someone is going to bring out the value. Full stop. Someone is going to bring out the value. So Jim Cramer has gone from Bob Iger is awesome, he knows what he's doing, he's a great CEO, to now, well, somebody eventually is going to bring out the value. Apparently somebody not named Bob Iger. Tell me how else to interpret what he said. I mean, look, when Disney has fouled things up so badly that the polish is even coming off of Jim Cramer's turd, bruh. Somebody eventually is going to come along and generate value. Let me give you boys and girls out there in the audience, again, because this is big earnings week, right? This is big earnings week, including Disney. I want you guys to listen very carefully here. There is another big American company out there that has undergone a similar story here in almost the exact same time frame. It's a company by the name of Intel. Intel hit a brick wall right around the same time that we're talking about here with Disney, right? Intel hit a brick wall in 2018 and 2019, and it has been stuck until very, very recently in the crapper. And the reason is because Intel had a massive failure internally that was protracted out over many, many years, all the way up until this year, 2025, nearly 7 years, because, you know, Intel is about the only major American company that manufactures their own chips, their own CPUs, their own hardware, right? NVIDIA, AMD, all these big guys, they're what's called fabless chip makers, meaning they don't have their own fabrication plant. They farm it out to Taiwan Semiconductor, TSMC. Intel had so many problems at their foundry, they were going 3 to 4 generations behind where places like TSMC. It's the reason that Apple completely dumped Intel back in 2019. Because Intel screwed them over because they couldn't get their stuff working. And the point is that, yeah, in 2019, when Intel was $25 a share, and until about a month ago, guess what? It was still around $20 to $25 a share. It had done nothing in 6 years, because they could not fix their problems. Sounding familiar? Like they were just treading water, basically. They were treading water. They weren't growing. They weren't completely dying. They were just treading water. And over that 7-year period, I mean, look, I'll put it this way. I haven't liked Intel for many years for that reason. I still don't necessarily trust them because I still think they've got problems ahead. But it was only until recently when it was announced that Intel was going to be one of these companies that the federal government was going to step in and kind of do a bit of a work with and partnership with that really pulled them out. Absent that, they'd still be sitting at $20 to $25 a share, in my opinion. The point is that what if you had taken that and said, you know what, screw this, they're not going anywhere. Let me go out in 2020 instead. I'm going to go pick up NVIDIA or Broadcom or throw in virtually any thing, any major chip maker in the same space. You would have made a lot more money. I mean, you would have made 500 to 1,000% more money, right? Jim Cramer is still sitting on this Disney stock, waiting and praying for someone someday, somewhere to come along. He is literally doing a Disney princess dance, waiting for Prince Charming to show up and actually pull the value out of Disney. I wouldn't hold your breath. I'm not seeing it. Yeah, like, what did we tell y'all earlier this year? When we covered Disney earlier this year, and we talked about, oh, here we go again. It's another redux of what we've seen the last several years. We're gonna watch the Disney stock peak up to $125 a share, and then guess what's gonna happen? Guess where we're gonna be by November, December? We're gonna be back down again. Where are we right now? 110. Not as bad as 85 as it was in the last year or two. But the point is that it's retreated and it's just sitting there. It's just sitting there. But Jim Cramer still is waiting for his Prince Charming to come and plant a big, wet, juicy kiss on his lips and make his Disney stock do something. Where's the meme of the little, the little black and white drawing, the guy with the stick going, come on, do something? That's Jim Cramer in Disney right now. Jim Cramer is waiting for 1937 Snow White. What Jim Cramer is going to get is 2025 Rachel Ziegler Snow White. Jim, go see a proctologist, buddy. Have him remove your head from your ass. He goes on, the Walt Disney Company creates and distributes film, television, streaming content, whatever. Who cares? Answering a caller's query about the stock during the October 20th episode, Jim Cramer, this was on Squawk Box, I believe Squawk Box. Okay, I think at this level, it's good. I did speak a lot with Jeff Marks about it. I expressed some displeasure today saying, oh my God, it's still at $111. I thought it should be at $120. I think it gets to 120. At 120, we're going to have to reconfigure and rethink. Bro, it was 120 earlier this year. And you should have known better. If that was your target, then you should have shot that trash out of a cannon back in April. Wasn't it up there? Wasn't it up there earlier this year? Let's see. If I'm not mistaken, usually it always happens right around the freaking annual shareholder meeting, right? Let's go year to date, ladies and germs. Where are we at? Oh, look, I was right. It was June. Okay, I was off by a couple of months. It was June. April, we had all the market correction with the tariff stuff. But look, it spikes back up to 123. Where are we at, Jim? That would have been my get the hell out of this mess point. And look, just like clockwork, we're getting to the end of the year, and it's just shitting. That's it. That's it. Help me out here, Jim. What's your plan, brother? What's your plan? It's funny to watch you do this. It's like you can't quit Disney. I mean, if somebody out there in the chat, I need you to make me a meme I need somebody out there, get me an AI on Grok or whatever y'all use out there. Chat, y'all are brilliant. Tag me in it on X. Make me an AI. I want that famous picture of Jake Gyllenhaal. Just make me an AI of that. With Bob Iger and Jim Cramer. And I can't quit you. With Jim Cramer looking over Bob Iger's shoulder, just saying, I can't quit you. Heath Ledger, thank you. God, I don't know why I had a brain fart there. Heath Ledger. Yeah, Jake Gyllenhaal and Heath Ledger. That scene where they're like hugging each other and Jake Gyllenhaal's over Heath Ledger's shoulder going, I can't quit you. I need that with Jim Cramer and Bob Iger. If it gets to 120, bro, it was at 120 a share 4 months ago. 4 months ago. The problem with Kramer is that he has too high of an opinion of Bob Iger. Because Bob Iger is a very, very shrewd, silver-tongued devil, very swarthy, and he is able to convince and manipulate people because he is the Hollywood party scene. And people buy into this. And again, here's Predator Badlands this weekend. Nobody is asking the hard questions of Iger, like where is the value? Where's the $70 billion that you demanded that shareholders fork over to buy Fox Studios? And you're telling me right now, seriously, you're telling me right now that Predator frickin' Badlands, you're telling me this is the win? And I know people out there, we had Shogun or whatever. Okay, fine. Again, when you look at what Disney shareholders have been asked to fork over, there's literally nothing anywhere close. I don't even know if there's been $7 billion in value. Maybe with Hulu, that share of Hulu, we could say that. But beyond that, where's the other $63 billion gone? It ain't there. Make sure you're subscribed to Valiant Renegade and join us every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern for the live show.